Welcome back to the channel. Brought something different for you today. We are in Z32 300ZX. Now this is a very nice example and very well looked after 30-odd-year-old car. And this has been entrusted to me by a friend of mine, and I have to give it a bit of a service and fix a few little things up on it. So we've got a bit of a shock that is not very happy anymore and is not doing things that shock absorbers should do. So we've got another set of shock absorbers we're going to put in it. As lovely as this car is, this is also Neil's everyday car. So you don't want it to be too stiff in suspension. At the moment, in its current form, in its standard original form, the ride's pretty plush, but you can feel that shock absorber has failed on the back, and it's not dampening properly, so rebound you can feel is quick. But so yeah, we'll be changing. I think he's got all 4 shocks, so we'll be changing all 4 shocks, and then we'll be getting a wheel alignment for it and doing a little bit of a service on it as well while he's away. And yeah, we'll give it a clean up as well for him. He's given it to me a little on the dirty side because we've had some bad weather, and unfortunately he hasn't had the chance to clean it himself. So I'm actually just not far from my place. I brought the car down here just to remind myself of a couple of things that need fixing on it. So yeah, so thought I'd give you a bit of a rundown on this car. So this is an Australian delivered Z32. Now, as far as I know, they made these cars between 89 to 2000, which is a pretty long run before there was a break. Like, there's a fair few years break between then, before they released the 350Z, and then after that the 370, and now we have just a Z, they're calling it, but a lot of people calling it 400Z. But so these cars, between I think it was 1990 and 1997, they were delivered here to Australia. This being an Australian delivered model, it is a naturally aspirated 3 litre, so VG30DE. The 24 valve apparently had about 220 to 230 horsepower. Now, unfortunately, over the years, I don't want to knock this car too much because it is a pretty good example of a well-preserved, well-looked after car. But some of those horses have escaped the stable, and we need to find out where they've gone and recover them. So we'll do a little bit of a service on this, change the oil, change the plugs, change the air filters. We'll see what they're like, and yeah, we'll give it a bit of a bit of a once over and get it acting all happy again. But at the moment the suspension's not too happy. It pulls to the left a little and a little bit of a shuddering brake, so that's going to need machining or replacing disc rotor, throw a set of new pads in it, and yeah, so we'll just do a bit of a service on it and fix it up for Neil, so when he gets back from holiday, or hopefully we can get it done in time for when he gets back from holiday, that he's got his nice 300ZX ready to go. So I'll just take you for a walk around this car. And there she is, naturally aspirated VG30DE. Those of you that know I'm a bit of a Toyota tragic, but I do also like Nissans, and the two Nissans I really like also happen to have 32 in their code name. So the R32 GDR, which is a given, everyone loves them, and these, the Z32 300ZX. Now, although these were classed as a sports car, especially late 80s, early 90s, there were a lot of sports cars getting around. I kind of think that these are better fitted under the GT car category, kind of like the A70 Supra as well. I wouldn't really call it a sports car because they are fairly heavy. They're about 1600 kilos, so they are a bit heavy, I guess you could say, for a sports car, but in comparison to other things, they're probably not that heavy, and they're all around the same weight. And unless you get to some of the Europeans like Mercedes and BMW where they get heavier. But I think GT is more so what these cars are, like these and the Supras. But I tell you what though, all these cars from the, say, late 80s, early mid-late 90s as well, all these Japanese sports GT cars, they are all really nice to drive. I don't care what anyone says. You can't deny that they are just nice cars to drive. A lot of people might like new cars and that's all well and good, but I, like many people I know, think new cars lack a kind of essence, a kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? They lack a lot of things. They lack a feel as well. They lack style. There's another one. A lot of these cars, style, charisma, character, all these things. I'm rambling on a bit, trying to think of things off the top of my head, but they have a certain something back in the day that new cars really don't have, to be honest. But these cars, like I said, from the late 80s, early 90s, mid 90s, late 90s. They've all got that something about them. They're just characteristics of them, the style of them. They're just cool cars. They were classic cars from day one. So you can't beat them as far as I'm concerned. And considering I'm someone that has bought a new car, it's a few years old now, I've got to say I would much rather a classic from this era than a new car if it was to be, say, an everyday car that I didn't need to throw tools in and stuff like that. In my mind, you can't beat them. Some people would dispute it, but personally I think they drive so much better than any new car. But yeah, so I thought I might take you for a bit of a cruise with me, and a little bit of a test drive and a little bit of a brief discussion about Z32s. I guess being fans of certain makes kind of stems from my parents as well. So my father used to work for Toyota. My mother had a couple of cool Nissan. She had a 280ZX, which was blue silver. I'll put a picture up, not of the actual car but of what it looked like. She also had a red Z31 300ZX as well. So, and then not to mention, my mother when she was younger had a HT Monaro as well. So my love of cool cars probably comes more so from my mother. So mum's had some pretty cool cars. If only she still had them, she'd be even more cooler. Beauty of these cars, everything is right here. I've got the oil filter right there, so I can fill the oil filter up so it's primed. Just easy to get to. Oh, that sun plug wasn't very tight. Not a drop on me. Looked alright on the dipstick, doesn't look so good coming out. So what I was doing there is a bit of an old trick. So to get a bit of excess old stuff sitting in the bottom of the sump, you normally blow a bit of air in the top of the motor. Doesn't hurt, it doesn't do anything. It's an old mechanic trick. And yeah, you get a bit of excess stuff sitting in the bottom. Now I've already loosened this. But this is about the easiest thing to do on this car. Not a lot of people like working on them. Got a little bit of oil on me there. Rightio, so I've filled the oil filter up, and yes, I do have a bit of oil around the rubber seal. For those keen-eyed viewers that saw me clean the flange of the filter. Rightio. Bit of sealant on that. You don't need to hang off them. They're about 18 to 20, is it 20? About 18 to 20 newton meters, I think. Just wanted to say, I see so many people do this on YouTube in real life. When you're pouring oil, if you tip it like that, or like that, you equalise the pressure. But you see so many people tip it like that, and it ends up, you get a, like a air trapped in there, and then it just splurts out. So yeah, little tip. All that's going through. This just goes on like this. Rightio, I've got the car up on jack stands at the moment. I'm going to have to get it off to get the oil level correct. They have such a confusing dipstick. That says full, that says low. I'll let it sit. I'm going to give it a clean and come back to it. Rightio. Just got done giving the 300 an oil change and filter. Changed the air filters. Gave it a wash. Doesn't she look pretty? Got the bonnet up just because I need to double check that oil level. But look at that. Aren't they just beautiful looking cars? And that's coming from a Toyota fan. So this is contestant number 1 at the moment. We've got to sort out suspension with that, change shocks. Contestant number 2 is just over here. This is contestant number 2. So this is a factory 5-speed manual turbo. This will be next in line to have some engine work done to it. Have to excuse the yard, it's not looking too pretty at the moment. Not like these cars. So we're going to pack things up. Going to go out for dinner and take this for a little drive. Show her off. Rightio, so here we have the new AGX shocks for the 300ZX. So they are adjustable in the back and they are adjustable in the front. The adjustment is actually through the top of the shaft. So I've got a bit of the back of the car pulled off to be able to get the old shocks out. I'll just show you that quickly. Rightio. So to get these plastics off, to get this off here, so I can lift that up there and get to the top of the shock, which is right here. But to get this undone, it's a whole chain reaction. I've got to get this off, but to get this off, I've got to get this off here, this center piece here. But to get to them, you've got to get the styrofoam where the jack sits out on both sides, and then really it's one of those things that you think is over engineered, and a lot of cars like this are like this. So there they are there, so that's where the jack sits. That's the center piece for the back. These are the 2 inner sides and the tail light right there. So it's a whole sequence of things you've got to get off to be able to get to the top of the rear struts, to be able to loosen them. Now I'm at the stage, I've got the bottom bolt loosened. There's the old ones, probably the originals from day 1, I would say. So this is the culprit here. Left rear, it's just not rebounding at all. It is rebounding, but it's just not dampening. So we'll get that out. Note to self, charge the battery before recording anything. So one is in and done. So obviously I couldn't record what I did because battery was pretty flat, unfortunately. So that's that side done. Just got to put the wheel on, and this I've already done. So yeah, now the fun bit, put all these plastics back together. Rightio, so I've just set the camera up just on the top of the headrest here, just so you can see how these plastics go back and just how many fixing points there are, which is crazy. Go on in the right way. I'm sure I had it right the first time. I'd hate to try and find this to replace this. I'm not sure that would be very easy to find. And that clipped on there. Yep. Just making sure it goes on in the right sequence, because every time you pull something like this on one of these old cars apart, you're on the risk of breaking it, and then if you break it, you've got the fun, enjoyable job of trying to find what you've just broken, which I dare say any of this stuff would be very hard to find. These have just got push clips to hold the styrofoam down. Just locate them first. Where it went. Done. Then you got the jack, which is an alloy jack for these. Just squeezes in there. That's an alloy handle as well. But that's steel, the original one. I like how these are stamped. Nissan motor, 21mm for wheel nuts. Another styrofoam section that tucks away in here. These little push clips. That's in and done. We got the masonite. Or these. Look at that jigsaw puzzle. I'll put it together. Easy. Yeah, he was missing that cover. And then this mat that has a rubber backing. Little clips that push into the plastics at the back there. So, to get the suspension changed, you have to lift this up, pull the masonite flooring out, pull this off to get that off, to be able to get that off, to be able to lift that up so you can get your hand in there to undo the two nuts at the top of the strut. Bit of a pain in the bum. And then you got the privacy screen, which just clips in like that. It's pretty much the easiest thing to do on this car. Let's take this out and put it back in. Easy as that. New shop. Old shop. There's little locating notches there that it sits in so the spring doesn't come flying out. Make sure they're even, sitting nice. Undo. Oh, look at that. The other ones didn't. Stuck to the spring. Right, so this sleeve's got to come out because the new one already has it, which is what that is there. So that just sits on like that. Just a spring compressor there, it's getting hung up on. It's okay, sort that out later. Sure. Make sure that the spring is seating properly where it has to be. Now I'm not doing this up tight yet because I want to clock where the adjuster is at the end there. That's how you do that. Rightio, so this is what I was talking about. You got the adjusters here. I just wanted to get it so that the shaft and the adjusters were pointing east-west with 1 and 3. Just a bit more symmetrical, you know, a little bit of pride, I guess you could say, in what you're doing. So that's done. And that's done. I had to drive it on the blocks to get the jack under it because the jack couldn't get the chassis rail. So yeah, we'll get it off. I'll wash my hands and we'll take it for a drive. So I've just finished doing the suspension on this lovely little 300ZX here. So the owner got a set of Kayaba AGX OEM replacement shocks, so they are actually adjustable. The rear has 8 clicks of adjustment, the front only has 4, which I thought was a bit strange, but the adjusters on top of the shaft, which I showed you previously, and the rear shocks have a dial on the back. So it's the next day. I actually took the car out last night to take it for a drive and set the suspension. I had it on 6 on the back and 3 on the front. Now keep in mind, we didn't change the spring rate. It's got the original springs back in it, so even just changing the shock absorbers to shock absorber that works, unlike the rear ones weren't. One was leaking, the other just wasn't dampening at all. So just changing the shocks alone and keeping the original springs, it's stiffened the car up. So I thought I'd go like 3/4 stiff on its settings, just to see what see how hard the ride would be, and then essentially go from there and soften it. So I've got a little bit of experience with the AGX shocks on the back, but the front ones having 4 clicks of adjustment, you really can't go wrong. So after taking it for a drive last night, I've now changed it to, well, from 6 of the 8 on the back, I've changed it to 3, and on the front, from 3 out of 4, I've changed it down to 1. So some of the roads around here aren't the best, and it's made it a little bit softer in the ride, so it's not a big change as such, but it's a bit softer and a bit nicer feel than the stiff compression and rebound, which is set anyway. As far as I know, with the AGX shocks, you're only adjusting the rebound of the shock, not the compression, because the compression's all fixed at what they are. So anyway, it's the next day. Neil's back from his holiday, and we're going to take this back, pick him up, and he's going to run me back to my place because he only lives just down the road from me. And we'll see what he thinks. So it's been good. So I've done an oil filter change, I've washed it and changed the suspension over. So see what he thinks of it. See how good his memory of this is and how it used to drive compared to how it drives now. It's definitely a little stiffer than what it used to be, obviously, because they're brand new shock absorbers and they're actually working, but still drives like a really nice car that it is. There's other things that I want to get him to do because it's his everyday car, and it's only done 109,000 kilometers since 1995. So happy birthday to this car, which is 30 years old now. But yeah, they're just great cars to drive, all these cars from 80s, 90s, like I've said earlier. So yeah, so a couple of things I've got left to do to this, which we'll have to do another time, is a wheel alignment. It pulls to the left, so we'll have to get a wheel alignment for it. But I've said to him, if it's something that you're driving every day, it's a 30-year-old car, we don't know if the ball joints and the bearings have been replaced, so I think it's a very smart thing if we change the ball joints and the bearings, so that way you don't run the risk of a ball joint breaking, which I have seen, and then the wheel coming back into the guard. Now these have got aluminium guards and bonnets on these, and I'm not sure how hard or easy it is to get replacement panels for these, but you just don't want to do it. Well, the car's in pretty good condition. The front bumper's been repainted and it's slightly off color, but like when you break ball joints and stuff like that, they can do some serious damage, so you don't want that happening at all. And I'm sure if one broke and it hit the guard, it'd send it back into the door, so then you've got a damaged door as well as a damaged guard and damaged suspension, so it's not something you want happen. So if it was my car, and trust me, I will be doing it on my car, on the Supra, being a 35-year-old car, I will be replacing all ball joints and bearings in that. So I think it's, for something that's an everyday car like this is for him, I think it's definitely well worth doing, especially being 30 years old. So just such a nice car to drive. And now, like, you can actually take a corner a little bit quicker too, like not that you would on the street. But there were a couple of bends last night that I took a bit quicker. I went through a roundabout just to see what its compliance is like, going from left, right, left, and it hangs on. This car is just so much better now. Shock absorbers are shock absorbing. So yes. So anyway, we're not far down the road from his place.